All right, we're going to move on to the next day. I think Quip is really freaking out with a lot of people viewing the page, unfortunately. So this is what we're doing today. But before we do it, I hope everyone's still alert enough. Please, if I can have your attention, right? It's not just talking about code, but it's about thinking how to use the app, how to structure your app as well. So I start by saying something like this, and if you disagree with this statement, please let me know, right? We have learned, you should know by now, how to create multiple pages in your web application. You create an app.rb file, and then you can run Ruby app.rb, and now you can define multiple pages. This is one page, this is second page, and the third, right? Yeah. So to link between them, we have learned how to use the LA thing and then just link, and this is the absolute path, just slash something. So very clear, we can agree on that, right? And you can reuse code. You reuse code when you see, I have the same header, same footer on every single page, so I use a layout file. This is my header, okay? I don't have a footer here. Notice I even put yield inside a container so that all the code, just fit right in my container box, and I can style this container. Maybe you want all the container to have some padding, left and right. I'll explain more about the container later. And so that's huge, right? It's very simple code, you have control over it, and it's already more exciting than command line. HTML gives you so many tags, elements that you can use, and CSS you can use to style it. And we can just copy inspiration from the internet. You can make your page make it look like Trello or Pinterest, or any site you like. But today, it's the crucial missing piece, is how to handle some data submitted by the user to the website. And when the user submit that, next time they view the page, it should reflect the change, right? Oh, good Lord, I feel like this script thing has this missing again, but it's okay. We'll find it. Find a way to add it back. Now, at the end of the day, you also can deploy your website to Heroku, and I will demo it as well. It means now you will have your website on the internet, and there's no more local host stuff. So when your code is ready, you just push to Heroku, git push Heroku master, right? So for today's lab, I'm going to build the whole thing from scratch. So some parts you will feel familiar, so I will go faster. But some parts that you feel like it should go slower, just raise your hand or do anything, let me know, okay? Any question before I start? Okay, so I'm going to create a new project. This time, I'm going to create a project outside the Git folder that we've been using. Let me explain Git once again. I have all the files here in this lab 2.3, that's yesterday. But remember that last time I set up Git to be in, I have a bunch of commits here. I set up Git for this whole folder, Bootcamp Ruby. You guys may set up Git in a different way, maybe in your week 1 folder, week 2 folder. What it means is that when you view it on the Finder, like when you use it on a Finder, you don't see it, but if you turn on the mode to see hidden files, you'll see it. On the terminal, if you on Windows is dir, and I forgot what it is that maybe just you can do help to see how to view the hidden files. But on Mac, you can view the hidden file by -A. Then you see there's a .git folder. That is the hidden folder that keeps track of your changes. Okay, every time you make changes to the file, it stores that change inside. Okay, now there's another hidden folder like .vs code. It remembers the preferences you guys have on your project so far. So I'm going to go outside of that. I am going to create a different folder. Whoops, I shouldn't show that. Let's see. I'm going to create a folder called just demo, yeah? So I go to demo. Oh my god, I have too many things in demo. That's the wrong folder to go to. This lecture. I create a folder called lecture 2, 3, 4. I think I already have that folder as test. So I'll just call 2, 4 again, right? All right. So I go to this folder, and there's nothing in here. No surprises there. What's the first thing I need to do to create this project as a Sinatra application? Thank you. So I'm going to open Visual Studio Code for this folder. Okay. So I'm typing code dot, and it will open Visual Studio Code inside that folder. I go to the previous one. I close that one. We're done with that guy. Okay. And now I'm going to create the first file, just gem file. What we need. Whoops. What's the syntax? Wow, now you guys know that very well already. And then what's the gem we need? Alright. So for today, I introduced a different gem that makes your life easier. It's called shotgun. But we don't need this gem for our app.rb file. So I can say require false. So don't require it. It just means when you run bundle install, it will install shotgun and Sinatra. For your computer, if you have problems with shotgun, you can install in shotgun. You can ask. Okay. You can ask. So I'm going to type bundle install here. Before you do that, make sure you're at the right place one more time. So bundle is short for bundle install. So I have the whole thing, and as you can see, I'm guessing this file will show up, right? So I have gemfile.log there. Now I need the app file. We have a Sinatra server, and by now we know that we could just do Sinatra, right? I answered this question before, but we are going to just use the standard time way for any project, bundler.require. As you can see, bundler.require now will just skip the shotgun file. Yeah, no need. We just need shotgun down here. When you install it, you have shotgun here. Okay. So as usual, we're going to create a sexy page. And now with shotgun, it's a lot more fun. All right, app.rb. Please, again, do one step at a time so we know everything's working as expected. Now the difference is that it's a different default port, 9393, no longer 4567. So I'm gonna go here and type 9393 and go, and it's hello. So by now, any questions? The cool thing is with shotgun now, you can change it to anything else. You don't have to restart the server. So probably with all the things you've been suffering, you must be very happy to see this. Right? Great. So now I'm going to say, hey, ERB, use the index file. Save it, run it, and it will complain, no index.html file, no problem. Views folder, inside view, I have index.html.erb file. And in here, initially make it very obvious. So what we're doing now is that we're learning forms, right? And I save it file, save this file. Well, that looks good. Any questions so far? We need to start learning form. So I'll just type a form element, right? When you use the snippet, HTML snippet extension, most of the element you type, you will be able to just type and then tap and then you see it, right? So ignore the action thing for now. Initially, if I just treat it as a form, there's nothing that comes out of it yet. This is a container. It has logic, but it doesn't really have any appearance. What we're going to do is an input type. There are many input types. And you show them, you choose them whether it is a text type or a radio button type or a checkbox type or date time, you know, all of that. But for now, it's text. I save it. It's getting somewhere. I have an input. Okay? So yesterday or 2 days ago, we did not play with this element very much, but it's in the bonus. Some of you got to that part. But it's not a big deal. Type HTML input and then you can look at W school again. We need another type, which is input submit. And then now we have a form. As simple as that. Right? Very minimal. Well, this is something that when you learn a web framework, no one teaches you. And then you always get a lot of code and you don't understand how it works. We're going to just understand it very clearly how things work. By just doing only the minimal steps. Now, it is the same, by the way, with this thing. Although some of you may like this better. It's button. So is it another submit button, right? Then you can type it and it looks the same. The difference is that the button, it came later in the HTML spec, and then it's easier to style. So a lot of people prefer to use button. And then you can, do class name to it. For example, this is a primary button or something like that when you use the CSS framework. So I keep it as simple as this for now. Okay? So I think if I put a value here, it will change it to whatever you want. Remember the button way earlier? You change it inside the tag. But for these guys, it's just this. Now, some of you may ask, why don't I have this closing tag, right? These inputs are special ones that doesn't care about anything in here. So you only need the front part. Before HTML5, you have to put the slash here, but nowadays you don't. So don't need. Okay? Same thing with BR, remember that? Break line. So these are the things that it doesn't make sense to type this. Okay. And value is another one here. So enter something. For example, value will be like buy milk. If you want to tell the user, prepare the data first for the user, and they can start typing from there. But if you want to give them some hint, HTML5 gives you the hint word, like enter here, right? And then you see that, the placeholder value here. If you click on it, you start typing and it disappeared. Okay? In the old browser, like if you click on it, it disappears and people get super confused. So the new browser, you click on it, it still stays. Only when you start typing, it disappears. So it's nice. But before we have placeholder, people used to use this, put it in a div, right? And put some label to it, like name. Okay? Like that. And there's one element that's called label. Then you can put the name inside. It's a little bit more semantic. It can have some extra features that I'm not going to tell you now. The extra feature is that you can tell it to be the label for this input. Put the ID of this input here. For example, this is like new name item. And then the ID of this input is new item. Then when you click on name, the cursor still jump to the input box. So you don't have to just click here, but you click on the label of an input, it understands. This is the extra thing that it's good for user interface, user experience, especially the checkbox. Remember how many times in the checkbox you say remember me, and you click on the remember me text, it doesn't work, and you have to go and find that tiny checkbox, and you hit the right checkbox. Does that make sense? Well, obviously, I'm not expecting you to remember all the syntax here. All I care about is this guy, okay? Now when you play with later, you can type input, checkbox, and you see the checkbox, and then you can add a label to the text box, etc. So for the purpose of this demo, I keep it super simple. Now I need to go to the next step. How do I submit data to Sinatra? So why don't we just press submit? Hey, right? Do you realize what happened? Does anyone see anything? Alright, so one more time. Yeah? Click submit. So what's happening here is just going back to the same page with a question mark here. Question mark here, you can ignore it for now. It's just a place for you to pass extra arguments to the URL. These arguments are called parameters. This is like, name is hello. That's just, I used it yesterday in the demo just a little bit, right? That's the hint of what we get. But ignore this one. So we can keep trying. Press enter, right? And we see it in the log. We see that it's going back to the same page. So that is the default. It means the action is empty. Then you keep going back to the same page. Now if the action is submit, then what do you think it will happen? What do you think will happen? You just go to submit. So we're going to do error-driven development again. This page doesn't exist. That's called a 404 error. Okay? And Sinatra said, hey, why don't you put this in your code and everything will work? Right? Well, that is number one, how we go to a different page. But that looks like linking to a different page. That's, it's like, okay, you're linking to the next page, and that's it. I don't see anything else interesting. Maybe it's interesting. Maybe I can type like hello here, and I go to the next page. I should see something up here, no? Why don't I see hello? Yes? Don't have submit page? Good, so that is this page. But I'm going to point out we need something here. I'm going to remove that. Remove ID as well. We need an extra thing here. Name. Okay? So let's say we're doing a search. Alright? I'm going back to this page. Refresh it. I type hello, and you guys will see that. So that's the next important thing to learn, is the name attribute of the input. When you submit a form, any input with a name attribute will be put in that. This is the key and this is a value. That is the params. Params for short. Let's go to some places and see how people do it. This is the search form with an input, search, and it's the same idea. You guys obviously see this is a huge thing with a lot of style, but it's just an input with a type text and a name queue, right? You guys see the name queue here? So if I do type test, press enter, it should submit back to the page with a queue something. That's how the form works. Obviously, Google does it a little differently, so you ignore these guys, but it's the same. So you can say, hey, I'm going to search for Code School. Press enter, it works. Right? It will search for Code School. You can change it to anything else. So now you understand how to hack the URL a little bit. You can send this link to your friend. Hey, why don't you search for my name, Adam Smith. And then click here and it just take you there. So that's cool about the queue. I'm not naming it queue, I name it search. But now you understand the name part. A search query does not change what's in the database. So when you do a search query, it makes sense to go do things like this. When you send an email, you create send, right? When you create a new item, like learn Ruby, you don't want it to go to a URL that people can just keep hitting that URL and then it just keep populating your database. Then you have like, you accidentally visit the URL multiple times and it will just keep creating that. You don't want that, right? So that leads to the next thing we need to know is that don't get. Get is the convenient URL with the params. Remember how we can keep adding stuff here to search for things, but you don't want this because we're making changes to the database. So we enter the world of post. Now when I post, go back to this guy and I start. As you can see, the URL now is just empty, right? It's no longer sending the parameters in the URL. It's now setting the parameter in the body. And do you see this post suggestion? Because Sinatra doesn't know this post. It's very different, right? If you refresh this post page, it will say, hey, this is a page that submit a form. If you continue, it will submit it again. Are you sure? Have you ever booked a ticket online on a flight website or or hotels, and before you click the submit, they say do not refresh the browser. Yeah. They say do not reload, do not press submit twice. In the early days, it was difficult to prevent the button to be submitted twice. Now it's easy, just add some JavaScript. But a lot of websites still didn't have it. So like, if you just buy, you just bought a book for $10, you press submit, and then you're like, I just refresh this page. What I'm doing right here, it may actually buy it again, right? So websites that are not well written can cause, can have a problem. So why trust the website? Trust ourselves. Let's be very careful when you reload a page with a form resubmission. Okay, but in this case, I know, I can refresh and I know that this is my own web page, so it's okay. But I'm going to copy this and implement it. Sounds good? So in here, I'm going to say submit page. It can be anything, but I'll just say submit page for now. You ready? Reload. Command R is to reload it. And I say submit page, right? And of course, again, if you just keep reloading, it will be a problem. Now, what I'm saying next may not make sense to some of you, but if you have questions, you can let me know. A lot of websites have decided that after you submit, it make changes to the data and then redirect to the previous page. Sure, yeah. So you say, so what I say is that it used to be all these problems. This still exists everywhere, by the way. Yes. It's very normal. Like, well, not on pages with credit card and all of that, because now people are spending money on QA, right? You hire an external party to test, to make sure that your product has, no such stupid errors. QA is a big industry itself. User testing, these are the things that you have to spend money and pay all these services to make sure your site doesn't have these stupid errors. But it's normal. It's not always stupid. This is fine. I mean, as long as, if I resubmit here, I can even make sure my website is smart enough to say, hey, you already submitted that. What's wrong with that? Okay? So it depends on the purpose, but in some web frameworks, it's recommended that after you submit, you redirect back to go to a different page and then say thank you for your submission. So for now, I just keep it, but I want to display this page. Why don't we just display the same page? That's not bad. Huh? Let's try again. Submit, we go back to the same page. Now I can test. Submit, go back to the same page. The next thing I'm telling you is super useful, is that we just going to display what has been submitted. So I call this one, it's a good practice, it's debugging, right? So I create a div, no big deal here. And in here, I just say whatever we submit earlier, I'm going to print it out because I'm in development. I can print out what I want to see. Don't do this for the user, right? They will see everything yeah, it doesn't look very professional, and it may make it easier for them to hack your site. But for your local purpose, it's okay. So it looks like this, a div with a params. And I start typing, test. You can see what's in there. Okay? So I think it doesn't look very nice, so I just make it look a little nicer, like, you know, oh, maybe just add style to it. This debug, anything that has debug, I'll just say maybe padding 5 pixel, background color, AFF, and that's it. I think it'll look nice. Margin, bottom, 10 pixel. And now to show you guys that we can do more than just search, let's say you have a form that is name, email, password. You ready? And then we're going to resubmit the form. No, but I reload the page first. This is name, and you know, Adam Smith, a password. Okay, hey, Adam Smith password. Obviously, you're like, this is nuts. Why do you give me password? That's okay. You know, you just change it to type password, and that's how things work with the fonts. Okay, so I'll just do it one more time here. Name, Smith. This is your password, right? So there are a lot more types you can try. So back to our thing, we just have one thing called name. I'm going to call it specifically item name, for example. And let's try it one more time. This is now item name. Right, so you see we have data. Now let's ask ourselves, what's going on here? Last time I need locals. It turns out that Sinatra does this for you. It's like Sinatra is passing the params into locals for you. Okay? So you don't have to do that. You just need to do some extra things if you want. Okay? And in here, you can access params. And you can see the string here. Item name. Right? I can even say, you know, what if I this return item name here? What do you think will happen? Yeah, this post, this block will just return a string here. So let's try this. Obviously, this is just to show that it works, and it's just one word. We're showing you that, like, hey, right? This can be any string, and now you can take advantage of params. Okay? So let's do something more interesting. Let's print. Actually, let's go back here, and both of them. For index.html, let's print a few things. I'm going to create a list of items, and then this will be learn form. You know, that's the first. I'm going to make an array here. Learn input text, etc. Right? And then I will go to index.html and display it. And by now, I expect you to know how to use each very well. So items.each, do item. You do need an end over here. And then, for example, if I want to add each one of them to a list, this is this item. Any questions so far? Any bug that you see in my code? Sure, it just looks nicer with the UL, right? And maybe nicer if you indent things a little bit. All right. Any bug with my code?
Should it not be under .each?
What is under .each? UL, if you put UL in here, that's bad, because then every time you have 10 items, you have 10 UL. You only have one. This is like a container, right? Anything else? Items doesn't exist. So you want items to go through. Okay? Don't confuse this item with this item, okay? This item is the above item. See the same color? This item blue becomes the item inside here. Right? So now I go to the home page and I see these guys. Now there is one more bug. You want to display just the name. How this is an item hash. How do I display only the name? Only the value. In this item here, what is item? It is a hash or a number or a string. A hash. And what are the keys in this hash? What are the keys in this? So learn from is a value. So what is the key? Where is submit? So what is this thing? What is it? It's a key, right? So I can just access that key name. So you're printing this to make sure we understand the structure there. Remember, params up there is another hash, right? Pretty exciting. If you want to change this to, let's say status is done or not done. Let's say undone. And then in here, why don't we convert it into, class, and in this class you can use the item status. Okay? You can add more class names such as item, etc. But I just make sure that there's an item status in there. Nothing changes, but if you inspect them, you see this is li.undone and li.done. It means your master of CSS will tell you that this can be done will be text decoration. Is it text decoration?
Yeah.
Sometimes I don't remember stuff, but that looks good. Yeah, so it's done or undone. And I think I just rely on English, and so hopefully it works the way I spell it. So imagine now we want to do one more thing, which is one more task, and press enter, and it will go there and show it. All right, who can help me fix this error? Ian. So you just say, okay, how do I fix this? Line 13 in index. So in index, line 13, what's the problem here? What's the problem? What's the problem? Submit uses, yes?
We're not passing the locals.
That's right. Our index is using items, and app is not giving it. So why don't we copy the same line up there? Are we done? Are you sure? If I refresh now, it will be the same error but in a different place. This item, you got this item, but this item is not taken care of. So
do we need to copy the array?
For now, let's copy it. One step at a time, right? Copy it, run it. Let's try it. I got this. Enter. You want I got this to show up here as a third to do. How do we do it? Louis, you want to give it a try? How do you get this I got this text? It's in the params. I'm printing them out clearly here. What is it? This params, right? Quý, how do I create a new item? So a new item equal, create a new hash. And then name, thank you. That's it, and you can give it an undone status. Right? William, how do I add this new item to items?
Use the new items under.
Does that make sense? So you guys will see that, for example, here. It's almost there. Item name. Because I used the wrong name. So if I say item name here, do you think we got it? Hell yeah. It's pretty fun, right?
Go back to your code.
Come again? Yeah, in a way you say CRM or any like WordPress or anything. Sometimes they ask you to just put in a form, and you have to make sure you understand what it's submitting. Okay. Remember, well, notice that this submitting doesn't have a name. If you have more than one button, this is a bit advanced, but it's really not advanced at all. Only, you can just type in name is next, name is previous. Let's see what happens when you press. I'll try again. Hello. This is the default button. When you press enter, it's using the first button is default. But when you have two buttons now, whoa, right? You click previous, it will submit previous instead. And you can always check what button was submitted. Some people do Rails for 1 year and they still don't know how to do this. Because it's too much magic in there. But now we know this, right? So normally you only have one submit button. Normally, like in this case, you just press enter and it just automatically hit the button for you, or click this button, or tap, right?
You just check for it in the route, is what you mean?
No, it goes to the same route. You check for it if params previous, then the button is inside the method itself. If the params previous, if not, it returns nil. Okay? So, come again? It's interesting, right? Well, it's not interesting. It's fascinating. Alright, so I want to be able to come back to this page and I see that wow thing. It's not sticking, right? It's not staying there. That bothered me. Right? I type again. Oh, that's not cool. Who has an idea how to make it work? And not Lloyd, please. Huh? Store. Alright, first, don't use global variables, so don't store anything outside. You have to read from somewhere. Okay? So let's say, I'm going to create that very famous to-do.md file. Learn form. Learn input text, and I'll just mark this one as done. That's it. Now in here, up here now, items, simple. I get read lines first, file.read, to-do.md, split. I like split better than .lines because I get rid of these characters. I have these lines. So now I can do lines. How do I create the items? Right, so some of you will use this and be okay with it, like feel very comfortable. Get each line, right? Your new item is now a name is line from the 6th character to the -1. One more time. The 6th character is the L here. And then you go to -1. And then whether this is done or not, so you can say done. This is status now. You check whether line, the 3rd character is the same thing as an X.
Why not just inside the hash? Like comma name?
Yeah, sorry, we will do that inside the hash. Like that. Okay, status. Now if Ian, if line item 3 is the same as X, then what status do we get? Are you sure it's true? Are you sure the monitor is not blocking your view? Alright, because you cannot see the thing down here. It's done. There's no true false here, okay? So if this is true, so this is the ternary operator. You can use if else, but we also learned this in the lab. So if this is true, you have a done string for status. If this is false, you have a undone. Does it read reasonable? Now you have a rather complicated looking hash, so I put them over 3 lines. Are we comfortable with that? And now you can put the items, append it to new item, and you put n. Right? So now your items work. Just like that from the, you now reading this from the to-do file. Right? Let's double check. Let's really double check. Are you sure? Save it, load it, and it works.
Will it save if you type it into the search box?
This one?
Yeah.
Do you think it will save? It will go to this page. It's not saving the file yet.
Well, the HTML is a file, and the is a file, modify the HTML file.
Are you sure you want to put in the HTML file? So let's look at the HTML file. The purpose of this HTML file is that it takes the data from the Sinatra server file app.rb. If you start putting stuff in here, you're not going to be able to improve your app very much. Right? Think about this. If you submit, you're going to save the data, right? In this case, we're going to update this todo.md file. That is our database. Database here is a storage file. Right, Ian? So you have a good question. Say, why don't we keep it in HTML file, the 3 to-do items here? Well, when I submit, what do you want me to do? You want me to save to the HTML file? Modify the HTML file? That's bad. It's like the user can just type whatever and then you just save to the HTML file. No. When you push it to the server, you never make changes to these template files at all. I'm using the to-do file as a database example. In the future, we will change to use a database. We're not going to use a flat file. But if you build a wedding website, a personal homepage, why don't you use these files? So much easier to understand, so much faster to code. Why do you have to go and use all this database stuff? Right? Depends on their use. I'm telling you guys a joke. Here's a joke that there's an answer right on Quora. Say, what's the difference between a 10-year experienced developer and a new developer? The new developer will write a hello world app like this, right? They would write like app and then initialize string. So here will be name is name and then display, right? And then print out the name. That is a 1 year a 1 year developer, a new developer. And so how do you print hello world? Very simple. You type app.new hello world and then hello, right? And that works. How does a 10-year developer, 10-year experienced developer write the hello world code? You just write this. That's the difference, right? So obviously, I'm hoping that because I'm like the developer with experience, I just I do this instead of going and set up all this extra stuff for you guys to use. For now, it serves the purpose, so we can focus on learning the core things. So one more thing here, those who prefer map, you know that every line becomes one item. Okay, so look careful on the screen. No more items. Items is lines.map, and with map, the last item in each is returned here. So you do this, and of course this new item and this line is the same thing. So I remove this line, and I can remove this, and that's all you have. So then it becomes mapping a line to an item. Yeah. So hopefully things
Should
will
we
work.
try to get used to using more map?
Sure. Yes, if you can,
Okay.
definitely. This is the Ruby way. And when you do this, it prevents you from doing too many crazy things with like making change to the item and have more bugs, right? Some people like, no, I want to use, with index and stuff, the I and the J, when you start using all these index, it's easy to make mistake as well. So you say, when you start using map, it does, when you get it working, it continues to work and people don't really touch it. It's compact enough. When you have the earlier code, some people go in here and then like, put here, and then maybe they set item to be something else, and then by the time you get here, it's all wrong already. So it depends. It's just when your code is concise, it's a lot more useful, right? Okay, so one last thing to do, can someone guess? Is to save that to the file, no?
Yes.
And with this, now you can start doing your assignment. So those who finish all the lab, now you have no excuse. You can go and make the assignment as pretty as the one I show you guys on this one, right? Very quickly, just to give us all the inspiration. This is the assignment. By now, you can submit a form, you can mark it done, you can add new item. But of course, you have to make things pretty. If you want to go extra things, you can do sorting at the top. So there are a lot of pages now you can work with, right? But we're getting you closer to it. I think I already deployed this app to trellodo.heroku.app. You can have your own name, and it will be there, and you can show it to the world, right? So now it will work, and then you can share it, this URL somewhere else. You can work with you share it with another friend, and it will say, oh, okay, I can do this. All right, so back to that's the inspiration part. Now let's make it work in the same way. I need to read the items. Easy, right? I'm going to do the same thing here. Are we good with that? Maybe not. Do I need items? Do you guys think I need items? Come on, give me an opinion. Opinion who say no need to load items? Raise your hand. Who say need to load items? Raise your hands. So if you don't raise your hand, it means you don't understand. That makes me really sad.
Can you control Z one more time? Show the last one that you just deleted. Yeah.
This was, fake data. I want to be better than this. Right? And of course, you can remove this item and then new item. And then you append it, but it's still not saved to the file. What I need to do is saving to the file, right? So I'll show you the easy way first. Technically, this is my item. Imagine if you write it to a file, what it look like. What does it look like? It look like this, right? Don't be shy. Does it look like that? So then, why don't we just add that line to the file? How do you add a line to the file? Ian? Okay, so that if you write the whole file, I'm just going to open the file, to-do.md, and I tell the file I'm appending to it, not writing to it. Appending means you're only adding to the end part of the file. Do. And then that's it. I say F, hey, write to this F.
I need to add a new line at the end.
And of course, by the way, this undone thing doesn't change, so I keep it here for now. But your code could be smarter, so you can do if else, so you can do this or not, right? Yes, new line? Thank you very much. It depends on your to-do file. Let's look at the to-do file. Oh, look, 1, 2, 3 lines. So I should add a new line, something like this, right? Yeah, looks good. Open the file, and when the end block finishes, it closes the file as well. So my code here looks quite simple, right? Of course, you can use this params item name down here, but I'll leave it up here just for clarity. In the future, who knows, you can support params done or not as a checkbox here, okay? And that's in your lab, by the way. So let's give it a try. Yep. And then we're like, okay, we have a problem. Who here guess what the problem is? Who here can guess? What's the error? Same deal, we deleted all the items stuff. So this is where I have two options. Option 1, I copy all these things. Now that I read the file again, and I do it down here. I already updated the file, right? Right, Ian? I saved it. I have a new file. Now I read this file. All the items now should include the new guy. And then I print it. But when you see something like this, it's a bit ridiculous. It's the same as up here. Why do I have to write the same code?
Can I redirect to?
Correct. Let's do that. Thank you. Redirect to. And now, the more you look at the code, the more elegant it seems. Works, right? And you can, obviously, if you show this to your friend, they will be super impressed. It's updating the file, you're handling this form. There's no next previous, so it looks funny, so maybe you might want to clean that up. Okay, so this will be your submit. No more, yeah, that's it. I keep it very simple. But now you can refresh the page as much as you like because I already redirect to this. So get a break for 5 minutes, then lab starts. Okay, cool.
Question there.
Yes.
You re-explain that last method we did of redirecting.
Yeah.
Redirect to,
What does it do? Like,
where is it redirecting it to exactly?
where is it redirecting? What is the text in here?
That's the
Ian, I told you to remove that monitor. I bet you cannot see this line. Just kidding. Redirect to where here? Slash? Where is slash? We only have 3 pages. No, it's cool. It's fine. So, huh? Call? How is it? Redirect is just a method. Instead of rendering something, you redirect.
I didn't know that it's called that.
Come again?
When you redirect after you insert.
When do you redirect? When, right? After you run one line at a time. After you save the file, then you redirect. And you can see it in here. After you post, you have a get. So make sure you can also, take a look at your console here. The log is very useful. I'm going to show it one more time. Enter. You see 2 lines now instead of 1. And even in your console here, you see that too. Navigated to, well, it's submitted and then it's navigated. So it's not as useful as this log, where you say it's posting the data and then it's getting it from here. Then you cannot see this params anymore, right? You cannot see params. Maybe I can put params down here, huh? So let's see if it works. Params. Let's try. Yo, that's a good way to debug your code. Print it out to the console. So you can make sure you're not using like new item instead of item name. You may have an item name like typo, and it's sometimes really hard to see. You can print it, okay? Using the put statement, give you the console log. All right? Okay, let's take a lunch break. Oh no, I mean not lunch break. 5-minute break, and you start at exactly 11 to start the lab.